official Adams County historian Tim Smith in this morning to give us a presentation. And most of you who have seen and know Tim knows when it comes to Adams County history, he's certainly the guy to go to. He is out at the Adams County Historical Society, and also with him today is Andrew Dalton, the executive director out there. And I think Andrew's here for moral support and also to hold things as Tim points them out. So with that being said, I introduce and I welcome Adams County historian Tim Smith.
Thank you.
You want to hit that green button?
Thank you, Commissioners. Yes, I'd like to say happy birthday, Adams County. You know, today does mark the 225th anniversary of the creation of our county, which was signed by the governor on January 22nd, 1800. Now, you might know Adams County is named after John Adams, who was president of the United States at the time the county was founded. There are 5 counties in the United States that are named after John Adams. But it's kind of tricky because there's actually 3 other Adams counties that are named after John Quincy Adams. Today, there are 67 counties in Pennsylvania, but in alphabetical order, ours comes first. By my count, Adams is the 26th county formed in Pennsylvania. It was formed during a period of reorganization and county building in Pennsylvania. This was after the American Revolution, and of course this was along with the organization and reorganization of our federal government. There were 14 different counties established between 1781 and 1799 in Pennsylvania. And in the year 1800, there were 10 new counties established. Adams being the first of those that year on January 22nd, 1800. And I believe 7 of those 10 counties were all formed and signed into law on the same day, March 12th, 1800. Of course, these counties were formed out of lands that were parts of other existing counties. Originally, this area that we're in today was part of Chester County, one of Pennsylvania's original counties that was founded in 1682. Lancaster County was established in 1729, and it is the first county outside of the original 3. Of course, after 1736, large groups of immigrants were crossing the Susquehanna River into this area, and at the same time, Maryland was sending immigrants northward. It was during that period when we were Lancaster County that our first townships were established, and the first roads were established through this area for the early settlers. In 1749, York County was formed out of the counties of Lancaster, west of the Susquehanna River. And it was during this period, while we were York County, the colonial period, that we were involved in the American Revolution. Of course, 8 of our early towns were founded in this area when it was York County. But by 1789, there were rumblings to establish a new county out of the western townships of York. 2 main reasons for the new county. One of them is the great distance between the people that lived here in the western townships and York, that was the county seat. And of course, there were cultural and political differences between the predominantly Scotch-Irish settlers of the western townships and the predominantly German settlers in the eastern townships of York. And just to show that I, or prior to me, Dr. Gladfelter, is not exaggerating this situation. I want to read this quote by Edward McPherson. And in our folder over here, there's a book that we have from the Adams County Historical Society. It's about the creation of Adams County. And it was a speech he gave at a meeting of the Adams County Historical Society in 1889. And this copy is from the original collection of our society, and it's one of our first accessioned items. But in this speech, he gives a lengthy dissertation about the battle between 1789 and 1800, year after year in the state legislature to try to get this act passed that created our new county. And this is what he says about the differences. And I would say that, Edward McPherson's quite a politician here. The men of the West did not believe in or work cordially or readily confer with the men in the East. And reversely, the two migrations were of different stock, came from different countries, spoke different languages, and had inharmonious training, ideas, and tastes. Each nationality naturally sought settlement by itself, and both were happier when apart. Their politics differed, and both distance and diversity prevented fusion. Their points of repulsion proved, in 40 years of enforced association, stronger than their points of attraction. And it's obvious from later statements in the book that he's talking about the Scotch-Irish and the Germans. I think it's interesting, of course, today that Adams County is sort of a consolidation of Germans and Scotch-Irish, and we don't have that difference, in our politics necessarily. Eventually, these differences led to the separation through a bitter years-long battle in the state legislature. And of course, a county seat had to be established. It's interesting, if you read the legislature that creates Adams County, they specify that courts will be held in the town of Gettysburg, but they don't really come out and say that this will be the county seat. And throughout this long 11-year battle to create our county in the state legislature, bill after bill had the county seat in a slightly different place. And really, it came down to 3 places. Gettysburg, which you might think is a natural place for the county seat because of its central location and its well-established road system. Hunterstown, which in several instances in prior bills before 1800 was prominently featured as the location of our county seat. And New Oxford. When the town of Oxford was formed in 1792, in the newspaper advertisement, it specifically mentions that it is hoped that that town will blossom and become the seat of a new county when the western townships break away. One can only imagine the development of Hunterstown as a major city in our area if it had been named the county seat. But Gettysburg had definitely had the advantage because of the local business structure. In the end, James Geddes turned over the yearly lot rents to the people who inhabited Gettysburg that he was collecting. He also gave land for the county jail in his town, and several businessmen in Gettysburg came up with $7,000 to defer the cost of building the county buildings such as the courthouse and the jail. And that landed Gettysburg as the county seat. So, and then of course 1800, we had our first courts in Adams County, and we had our first county commissioners. So I'd like to say happy birthday, Adams County. Now, a couple things we brought. You might know that in 1804, the original courthouse was built in the square of Gettysburg. And on our Adams County flag, excuse me, you can see the original courthouse in the center of our design. And from 1804 to 1859, the courthouse was in the center of the square, and then, of course, a new courthouse was built here in 1859, and of course we're in the original part of the courthouse. Also, there was a county jail built on East High Street, which is now the Borough Municipal Building, and there was a almshouse originally built for the county outside of town in 1818. Also, we brought, with a county government and a county seat, there's a need for legal notices to advertise the dates of court. And we have the Adams Sentinel newspaper in a box over here, and I have it opened up to the inauguration of Tomas Jefferson. Wow. On March 4th, of course, you know, at that time, the inauguration day was on March 4th, 1801. So he took over, of course, for John Adams. And I thought it would be neat to show that our local paper published the inauguration speech. So our first newspaper, this is our first bound copy of our local newspaper. It started in November of 1800. And also, we have the Cumberland Cumberland Township tax record for the year 1800. Of course, Gettysburg is not its own separate incorporated entity until 1806. So in 1800, when our county was founded, this was Cumberland Township, Pennsylvania. And we also have the very first estate paper that was generated by Adams County in 1800. A guy named David Simpson from Strabane Township, whose name appears on some of the early records as one of those who proposed the county seat in Hunterstown in what became a failed effort. Okay, well, thank you for the time. And again, I encourage everyone, when you see somebody else today, say happy birthday. They'll have no idea what you're talking about. It'll be a lot of fun. Thank you.
Well, we want to thank Tim and Andrew for coming in, and you know, I might just mention also wish them well. I know most of you have heard that they're embarking on a new venture, not only beyond the battle, but also incorporating the Schreiber House and the Black History Museum. And I think that's not only be great for educating our residents and our public to our own Adams County history, but also help drive our economic engine. And you know, I've told this story before. It's a funny story. I'll tell it again. Andrew came to me and asked to meet with me as far as raising money for the Beyond the Battle. And they were located at the seminary right beside my house. And I said, well, listen, come on down, you know, to my pool. We'll have a beverage and bring your bathing suit if you want. We'll talk about the project. And so about 2 hours later, we were concluding, and he did bring his bathing suit, and we had a few beverages. And I said, I'll tell you what, he mentioned the project, told me about it. I said, and I knew at the time that we had some hotel tax money that we really needed to do something appropriately with. And I said, I tell you what, I said, I will go back to our team and I will see what I can do. I said, there's only one caveat. The caveat is that if we do this, that every teacher in Adams County can bring their students to the Beyond the Battle Museum without charge. He said, done deal. And that does exist today. And you know, you've gotten students from almost every school district in Adams County to come through frequently. So, you know, we appreciate that. And the other neat thing I'm thinking, and you know, I want to thank the courts. When we first came into office, commissioners' meetings were a bit enthusiastic, and Judge Bigham, I visited him. He wanted to chat with me. What a shock! And we walked out from his office right here and stood here. He said, "You want to see where you're going to be sworn in?" And I said, "Sure." So we walked out, and I walked into this courtroom. I said, "Judge, you know that the last time I had ever been in here was 40 at the time, yeah, 50, over 50 now, but 40 years ago, maybe 50 years ago, when I was in 7th grade civics class. We came here to see the court in session. We visited 2 places that day. We visited the court. We visited the old Adams County prison. And so the day before we took office, we queried the court if they would consider allowing us to open this for our public meetings. Not only because when you walk in, it's jurisprudence, it's civility, it's respect, it's that air, but obviously it's a wonderful historic venue, beautiful for the public to be able to see. And so now every 2 weeks at a minimum, the public can come in here. So those are just a few reminiscences. So Judge Campbell's here. Yeah, we really appreciate that. Today's a prime example, you know, of that opportunity. And we certainly wish, you know, both of you the best in the expansion of the Adams County Historical Society venue. So with that, we're going to recess. If you have a few more minutes, what I'd like to get a photograph of the 3 of us and the 2 of you, maybe each of us holding one of those artifacts for posterity.